the noise. It was the noise, throbbing noise. And it wasn't just the volume. It was as if they put me in a broom closet with two gigantic speakers at each ear, turned up full bass. The sound waves just like pulsated through me. That's how I felt when I walked into the gymnasium of Thomas Jefferson Middle School on my first day as a teacher there. I was met by 1,000 pubescent voices, and each one trying to be louder than the person next to him. I felt like a tsunami was about to make landfall on top of my head. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw these two boys at high rate of speed, breakneck, coming right at me. And right, as I braced for the collision, they split and just brushed right by. Then a group of kids walked by me, and they just didn't say anything until one said, "Who are you?" I was trying to be upbeat, and I said, "Hey, I'm the new social studies teacher, 6th grade." They didn't say anything. Just this, look like, eerie satisfaction of wolves being presented a baby lamb. I was fresh meat. I looked out and I thought to myself, my God, what have I done? 2 weeks earlier, I just received a lateral promotion at one of the largest military contracting firms in our nation. I was a retired colonel in the United States Army, 29 years. Doing the military contracting was a very comfortable job. I could do it in my sleep. Things were really looking up. And then I heard that JCPS, Jefferson County Public Schools, were short 150 teachers. This was August, so school had already started. And, I believe that was kind of like a state emergency, right? Every person deserves a good education. So I did what every responsible adult does these days. I went on Facebook and I made a complaint. I said, how could this happen? I wish they had a fast track for veterans and I could become a teacher. I always wanted to be a teacher, made that post and forgot about it. A couple hours later, I go back on, and a buddy of mine had posted a link to the Kentucky Department of Education where veterans could get that fast track to a certification. I didn't believe it. I went online. I said, well, wow. So I filled out the paperwork, and boom, I was certified to teach in the Commonwealth of Kentucky in a single day. And so, I went online and I applied to a couple schools, and 2 schools actually called back and said, hey, they wanted to interview me. And sure enough, one of them hired me. So I quit my job as a consultant, and 2 days later, I was in this gymnasium full of very, very loud 11, 12, and 13-year-olds. And we were waiting for the bell to ring so I could escort and bring my students up to my class to begin the day's classes. And the bell rings, and I had the almost impossible task of trying to keep the kids relatively quiet in a straight line going up to the classroom. And so we got to the classroom, and I was making small talk and everything, and the kids were ignoring me. And I said, okay. So I opened the door to the classroom, and the kids pushed me aside almost, and went in there like at a Walmart on Black Friday. I mean, they were just crazy, trying to find their seat. I had not thought to come up with a seating chart. Rookie mistake, and I would pay for it later. So they were just scrambling around. I thought a fight was going to break out, and then all of a sudden, things got like really crazy. Almost as if I was in a firefight. I felt this vulnerable, what is going to happen here? And then all of a sudden, my training kicked in. There's nothing soldiers do better than try to control chaos. So I moved around the room, telling people to get in their seats, and used my my size and proximity, and it sort of compelled silence, for a bit. And then I was looking around the room, and I saw this one kid with hot fries Cheetos that he had stuck up in his nose like they were horns, and he was looking at me like he was going to be a bull, And I'm saying, oh my gosh, what can I do here, But I finally got him settled down. We told stories, and it went pretty good. But it repeated itself throughout that day. In fact, it repeated itself, that scene or those scenes, over a period of weeks and then months, And I was learning my job slowly. But the days still would come when middle schoolers would be middle schoolers, and I went to combat 4 times, and I'm not going to say that teaching middle school is combat. I will just say it's harder than combat. You have this mission, that you can't fail. You have these young souls that you're in charge of, not only their physical safety, but their emotional safety, and sometimes their spiritual safety. And it's hard work. It's a mission that you can't fail. It's incredibly challenging. And honestly, some days I really want to quit. But then there's this. I had a particularly bad day, and kids, were breaking out the Cheetos, hot fries, and sticking them every place, and I just tried everything, and I couldn't get them to settle down. And finally, I just sat on an empty desk and crossed my arms, and a little girl raised her hand, and I acknowledged her, and she said, "Colonel Johnson, can I give you a hug?" I smiled, and she got out of her seat and did just that. It makes it all worth it.